Jake Tapper recently aired a segment on CNN that blasted the social media site Gab. He claimed that it allowed a lot of anti-Semitic and pro-Nazi content to be aired, that it permitted slews of hateful rhetoric on its pages. And you know what? He's right. It does. But there are 2 points to raise here. Firstly, I'm in favour of free speech. If nothing else, I think it's a good idea to keep these nutters in plain view where you can keep an eye on them, and where their plans and intentions are obvious. But secondly, and this is the big one, Tapper and every one of his CNN colleagues are on Twitter. And if he actually thinks Twitter is any better than Gab, then he is one deluded little monkey. Twitter has spent years banning and silencing moderate conservatives, crushing all sorts of reasonable, articulate and truthful opinions. And all along, they've given free rein to the worst people of the radical left and fundamental Islam. Twitter is an absolute sewer of bigotry, racism, death threats, horrific abuse, and defences of genocide and the worst regimes on earth. Gab allows some pretty puerile opinions on its site, but it does not allow threats of violence. But Twitter does. If you're one of the hard left, then you can threaten as much violence as you want. You can praise the Soviet tyrannies which murdered millions. And if you think the Nazis are any worse than the communists, you are way out. You can extol the virtues of ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and the Taliban. Those arid minds who subjugate women, murder homosexuals, kill the kafir, and seek the obliteration of all culture that doesn't coincide with their own. If you're on the right, you can't make even the mildest critique to leftist orthodoxy on Twitter. But if you're on the left, then there are no limits at all. It's the sort of breathtaking hypocrisy that's standard fare on the left. And it's standard fare for Tapper and CNN too. Why else would they go out of their way to get Gab closed down, while turning a blind eye to all the despicable hate and vitriol of their peers? And it's not that they're blind to it. If you pointed all of this out to fools like Tapper, they'd still find justifications for it. They'd still claim that it's fine for their mates to do it, but abhorrent if Republicans did the same. Except, as vile as the right frequently is, they never fall to the same repulsive depths as the left. Yet the vast bulk of the censorship, silencing and abuse is directed at the political right. Nearly all of it, in fact. And look, I don't want these leftist lunatics silenced. I like the fact that they display their bigotry and hypocrisy so nakedly for the world to see. I like the fact that their bristling animus and intolerance, their tribal loathing and propensity to hate and violence is so undeniable. Even if their supporters are blind to evidence, reason and logic. Twitter has, for years, been like a catalogue of the brazen excesses and double standards of the left. It's a source-rich record of everything wrong with that movement, as if we needed even more evidence after the catastrophe of the 20th century. If 50 genocides and 150 million corpses didn't persuade the world what lunatics the far left are, then Twitter isn't going to do it. But it's been an interesting, amusing and informative diversion for those of us who haven't succumbed to the madness of woke. However, it may all come crashing down. Elon Musk has bought Twitter and is pledging to end its leftist bias. Being that every single employee there is basically a communist, he's got his work cut out. But the reaction has been beautiful. Now, as I may have mentioned before, I got a lifetime ban from Twitter for hoping Jacinda Ardern loses an election. You can wish death on the Jews or J.K. Rowling, but don't call a lefty a cow, for God's sake. And this is true. Here's their email where they banned me for life and casually wiped out the work I'd been doing for 6 hours a day for 6 months. Twitter is the world's market square. It's an indispensable promotional tool in the modern world. But millions of people, many of them poor and desperately struggling to get by, have been ostracised, barred by smug and elitist billionaires, cancelled for being the other, for their wrongthink. Twitter's behaviour's been utterly reprehensible. But the censors, those who deny work and promotional opportunities to others with such casual abandon, really don't like getting a taste of their own medicine. One of the first to wail was Taylor Lorenz, the archetypal crybully. To her wailing, I can only respond that it's a private company. They can do what they want. If you don't like it, why don't you just build your own platform? But even worse was the open letter sent to Elon Musk on behalf of the staff at Twitter. These, remember, are the fascistic, censorious bullies who've been ruining people's lives for years and who've been gloating, crowing and laughing about it. But they're suddenly wailing now the boot might be on the other foot. Remarkably, they claim that now the public conversation is in jeopardy, that Musk's takeover will hurt Twitter's ability to serve the public conversation, and that this constitutes a threat that is reckless, undermines our users' and customers' trust in our platform, and is a transparent act of worker intimidation. Yes, their delusion really runs that deep. They also wail that we demand transparent, prompt and thoughtful communication around our conditions, the sort of communication they never showed any of their customers. And they also demand to be treated with dignity and not to be treated as mere pawns in a game played by billionaires. Well, now they've got a taste of how they've treated us for years. Now they've got an inkling of what it's been like for us. As Oscar Wilde said, you'd have to have a heart of stone not to laugh. There were some speedy redundancies, with Twitter's CEO, Parag Agrawal, Ned Siegel, the chief financial officer, and Vijaya Gadde, the head of legal policy, trust and safety, widely blamed for banning Donald Trump, all promptly let go. As I speak, it remains to be seen what will happen. Appointing a Tory as Director General of the BBC made no difference, because he still presides over a corporation absolutely saturated with left-wing activists. And the same applies at Twitter. The staff there have proven their arrogant, close-minded and censorious instincts that dominate their lives. Their relentless double standards mean they ignore their terms and conditions when it comes to the left, but they victimise anyone right of centre with relish. Can Musk really alter that culture? Will he restore accounts like Donald Trump? Will he restore all the millions of smaller accounts who've been cancelled by the fascistic and bullying left? Time will tell. But it's a hugely important step. The left have lost their bullying and censorious monopoly, and their reaction to that shift reveals their true colours for all the world to see. Again. If you want to support this channel, please like, subscribe, and think about buying my books. They're called The Tyranny of the Left, and they go into topics like this in much greater detail. They're available on the links below. Please do feel free to pick them up and let me know what you think. Thank you.